Before we take a look into the breaker panel, let's do a quick intro on the meters we use today. A VOM is a volt-ohm meter that may also read amperage on a small scale. The digital multimeter is its typical name. The digital multimeter reads RMS, root mean square. Internally, it calculates the average AC voltage equal to a DC voltage of the same value reading a resistive load. The reality is, when we are reading an AC voltage line of 120 volts AC to neutral, it's actually around 170 volts AC, but the meter averages it out to the equivalent of DC. Remember the waveform being produced? We only see about 70% of it on a meter. Not important until we talk about inductive loads like motors. We will discuss many of the meters used in depth in a later lesson. Okay, the breaker panel. We're going to keep it simple, but we will talk about both single-phase and three-phase breaker panels and how we get the voltages we do. The term hot leg refers to any power supply line that is bringing in one of the phases, 1, 2, or 3. Single phase can be two hot legs or a hot leg and a neutral. I didn't name two hot legs single phase. It's a long story, but that's what it's called, even though it's two phases. In your single phase panel, you have two hot legs and a grounded wire coming into your panel from outside. This grounded wire coming in from the pole gets tied to the ground bus bar along with your home or business provided ground, and it is the neutral for all 120 volt supplies in your home or business. The hot legs are staggered through the panel, so if you have a two-pole breaker, each pole will get a hot leg or phase. Every load in your home or business requiring a neutral will share the common neutral on the neutral bus bar. We will talk more about breakers later. Three-phase just has three hot legs and a ground. It uses the same staggered format, so a three-pole breaker can receive all three phases. Let's take a look at some measurements. If I measure the two incoming lines on a single-phase breaker panel, I will see I get approximately 208 volts line to line. If I measure either hot leg to ground or neutral, I will see approximately 120 volts. If I am in a three-phase breaker panel, I will measure 208 volts phase to phase, 120 volts to ground or neutral. We measure a standard 120 volt outlet. I am using one hot leg and a neutral. If we measure a 208 volt outlet, we are getting two hot legs. Again, in some locations having higher voltages, like 480 volts, you will get different readings.